This is my CA2 for data analytics. For our project, Luke handled majority of the queries for our project to get the actual data and did a lot for the actual setup in Excel. For me, myself, I focused more on step 3, part 3, the rankings between 2015, 2016, 2017, actually going through the numbers and ranking them from highest to lowest. Step 5, the differences or correlations between Louth and Dublin, the average house prices, and then for the final steps, the pie charts to be used for our PowerPoint, and then the actual PowerPoint I set up using the data we made. So for our project, step 3, part 1, here you can see 2016, the maximum house price, the minimum house price, average house, standard deviation, and the same for 2017, max, min, average, standard deviation. Just over here you can see the query used to get the actual data. Step 3, part 2, very similar, 2016, 2017, max, min, average, standard deviation, and the query used to get it. Step 3, part 3, 2015, 2016, 2017, the average house prices from highest to lowest for the counties ranked. For each one, you'll notice Dublin and Longford, Dublin being the highest for each year and Longford being the lowest, and counties in between switching very minorly. You'll also notice that each from 2015 onward, the average house prices have been increasing very slowly, but they have been increasing. And another thing to note is that Dublin every year has a very clear gap between the rest of the counties. Part 4, the provinces, the max house prices, the min house prices, the median, the mode, mean, and standard deviation. You'll notice again Leinster, much higher max house price, and just much higher in general compared to the other three, and that's to be expected. Leinster would be a more populated and more developed part of the country, so the house prices would be worth more, so they would increase. Is there a difference between the provinces in 2017? Yes, and that was to be expected, as you can see from our last step. It's just, again, Leinster would be worth way more. The house prices would increase due to that. The facilities and services like colleges and schools and other things like transport is just a bit more developed than the other provinces, and so the house prices would increase because they'd be worth more. So we expected it to be higher. Here, the average house prices by province, 2010-2017, starting with 2010, ending 2017. The house prices have not really increased, they've actually decreased, doing a sort of U shape, and you'll notice at about 2013, the house prices have actually started to increase again, rather than decrease, and it's the same for the other two here, except Leinster, who at about the same time increases again, but increases way more than the other three, and has actually surpassed 2010's max or average house price, has surpassed it. So Leinster doubled, or not doubled, but has surpassed 2010, so it has increased, but the others have actually not yet surpassed 2010. We actually found while doing this part that second-hand houses in Dublin 10, the average house prices were more than new houses bought. Personally, I expected the new house prices to be higher than the second-hand house prices, but from doing the project, we found that the actual second-hand house prices were much larger than the new houses, and being up at about between 150k and 155k, whereas the new house has been 130, 135k. Step 5 is the correlation between Louth average house prices and Dublin average house prices. No, Dublin and Louth are very different. As you can see, the house prices each year, Dublin just way higher than Louth, and both are increasing with a little bit of a decrease from 2010 to 2012, but Dublin starts to increase again quite quick, whereas Louth decreases and slowly rises, but even still the house prices are way lower than Dublin, and that was to be expected. Like Dublin would be, the house prices would be way higher than anywhere in Louth. A lot more services and opportunities in Dublin would make the value of houses in Dublin worth a lot more, so you'd expect them to be higher than Louth. Here's our scatter plot for Dublin 10 from 2010 to 2017, and our trend line here going up to 2019. A large amount being between 100,000, 200,000, and if you follow the trend line, 2019, it's slowly increasing the average house price, and although it's very slowly increasing, it's getting very close to 200k rather than being closer to 100k, with a few very rare occasions of house prices rising or decreasing very low here. Here, just simple the average and standard deviation for it, and there's the query used for it. Predict the 2019 average price. I would say it'd be very close to 195k if you follow it over towards. It's very close to 200k here. Houses sold between 200,000 and 300,000. Between 200k and 300k, 29.26%, and outside of 200k and 300k, 70%. Was that expected? We did expect that, as you can see in the scatter plot here. Even with it increasing, it would still be quite low, between, well, lower than 200k and 300k, with a few increasing more than now, but still being majority behind or below 200k. So we did expect that. Part 5, the proportions of houses being sold for 400,000. Very, very low. I think it was exactly one case of that, so it's 0.44%. We did expect that, yeah. The numbers, as you can see on the scatter plot, they're beside 100k and 200k and very, very slowly rising, so they've got a long way before they get to 400k, so it was to be expected that it would be a very, very low number for houses being sold 400k. And the final step, the probability that 6 out of 10 houses sell for over 300,000. We found that that was 0%, with more than 300,000 probability being 6.84%, and less than 93%. And again, back to the scatter plot, none of the average, well, very few of the average house prices would be getting anywhere near that. So it was expected that it would be a very low percent, very, very unlikely, and I would be very confident in stating that it would be 0% chance of 6 out of 10 houses being sold for over 300,000. So that's our CEA project, our second CEA project. Thanks for listening.